It started like any other morning at the lake cabin. My wife was in the kitchen, sorting papers from our recent HOA debacle, while I stacked firewood on the porch. The sun glinted off the water, birds chirped, and for a moment, the world felt perfectly peaceful. Until Karen showed up. She stormed up the driveway, clipboard in hand, fuming. "You can't ignore this. That $5,500 HOA fine must be paid immediately. Failure to comply will result in legal action." My wife calmly held up the shredded papers. "Oh, that," she said, flicking her hand. "I already took care of it." Karen's eyes widened. "You, what?" Before she could recover, she whipped out her phone and dialed 911. "Yes, send deputies. My neighbor just destroyed HOA property and refuses to comply with rules." I glanced at my wife, raising an eyebrow. She gave me a small, smug smile. I knew exactly what was about to happen, because Karen didn't realize who was answering her emergency call. 911, what's your emergency? My wife's voice came over the line, calm, authoritative, precise. Karen faltered, thinking it was a dispatcher like any other. "They shredded my fine," Karen screeched. "They refused to pay. Send help immediately." My wife's voice stayed calm, professional. "Can you confirm your location and the nature of the property involved?" Karen rattled off the cabin's address, still glaring at us. "Yes, they live there. They're destroying HOA property." Then came the pause. My wife's voice shifted slightly, cold and commanding. "Ma'am, this is General Blake. You are aware of my authority, correct?" Karen froze mid-breath. "Wait, General Blake? You live here." The deputies arrived minutes later, but by the time they stepped onto the property, Karen's face had already turned white as a sheet. She hadn't realized she'd called 911 on a retired general, the same woman who trained countless officers, advised federal operations, and commanded respect nationwide. One of the deputies, glancing at the shredded papers and the furious HOA leader, whispered to the others, "Yeah, we know exactly who this is." Karen's protests fell flat. I was enforcing the rules." The deputy shook his head. "Ma'am, this is private property. The fine is unenforceable. And filing a false report? That's a criminal offense. You're under arrest for misuse of emergency services and harassment." Karen went pale, clutching her clipboard, her HOA threats crumbling instantly. The deputies cuffed her politely but firmly, reading her rights aloud. As she was led to the cruiser, my wife leaned on the porch railing, expression calm. "Next time, maybe read the fine print before calling the authorities," she said, her voice carrying the unmistakable weight of command. The HOA board later tried to intervene, sending letters, pleading with the deputies, and even threatening legal action. All of it failed. Once news spread that Karen had been arrested for harassing a retired general, her credibility evaporated. Now the cabin is peaceful again. The shredded fines remain in the recycling bin, the lake undisturbed, and Karen? She drives past once in a while, eyes wide, avoiding our property entirely. Because she learned the hard way. Calling the cops on my wife was a catastrophic mistake. She didn't just target a homeowner. She targeted General Blake. And on this property, respect isn't suggested, it's mandatory.